Hey there, my name is Gary Sims and this is Gary Explains. Now yesterday I uploaded a video about 7 things you should know before you pick your next graphics card. And I really enjoyed making that video and I think it's pretty comprehensive. However, in retrospect, when I realised it was 28 minutes long, maybe that's a bit too long for some people. So this video is just a re-edit of yesterday's video and I've tried to shrink it right down 11-12 minutes. So a couple of things to note. First of all, some of the editing is the jumps, edits are not so smooth because I'm kind of chopping around a bit. Sorry about that. Also, if you watched yesterday's video, you don't need to watch this video because it's exactly the same content, but I've just really squeezed it down. And also, if you think I've missed something, well, I probably have, because there's a whole another 20 minutes in the other video of stuff that I've just kind of thrown away to make this short version. However, I still think this one contains the absolute essence of what I wanted to say. Okay, let's get cracking. Okay, so we're going to look at how to choose a graphics card in 2023. This will probably also apply in 2024 in terms of the general principles, or the subtitle I like to give this little video is, or how to understand all those funny numbers. What do I mean by that? Well, sometimes it seems like gamers and GPU enthusiasts are speaking some strange alien language. Should I get the GeForce RTX 4070 Ti or the RTX 2070 Super, or maybe the Radeon RX 6750 XT? So it's RTX, RX, TI, XT. What on earth are they all going on about? Now this is the chart we're going to be looking at quite a lot today. I've made this chart myself by taking the results from 3D Mark, running their benchmark and then plotting it against the different graphics cards that are around. And some of the scores would be different if you use different benchmarks. If you use different games, some of these numbers might jump around a bit. This just gives you a general overview of what we're looking at. If you're looking at buying a particular card, you should really go in depth, look at some of the benchmarks from gamers and not just one thing from 3D Mark. But this is the one I'm going to use just to give us a kind of a ballpark view of what's going on. The point is on the vertical here we have a single family. So this is the RTX 30 range, so RTX 3060, 3080 and so on, and you can see they're all linked up here. And then over here, for example, you might have a different range. This is the Nvidia GTX 10 range, so the 1050, the 1070, the 1080. And this is the main point of confusion. I was trying to explain this to somebody literally only last week. It's one of the reasons why I thought to make this video. Here you've got this GTX 10 series, so there's the 10 series, the 20 series, the 30 series comes much later, but the 1080 Ti is faster than several cards in the RTX 30 range. In fact, it's faster than the RTX 4000 as well. So this is where it gets confusing. You think if you buy the latest generation or an RTX 40 series, well, that's only just come out, that's brand new. And actually you find that it's slower than something you could have bought several years ago. So rule number 1 about buying a graphics card is never spend more than you can afford or go beyond your budget. Set yourself a budget. If you've only got $50, then buy the best video card you can for $50. If you really are into high-end gaming and you're prepared to spend $1,000 or more dollars, then do that, but just set your budget and only stick to that. You need to make sure that your PC physically can hold it. Some cards are big. Here is a picture from a German website, golem.de. They just show how big an RTX 4090 is compared to the motherboard. But just look how huge that is. You're going to need some space. You're definitely going to need some space to put that in your PC. And you also need to make sure that your PC has a big enough power supply. All serious gaming cards draw more than the standard maximum of 75 watts that can be supplied via the PCI Express slot. And these cards require additional supplemental power connectors. So when you look here on your power supply, you've got these other connectors. Some of course go to the hard drive, some go to the motherboard, and some of them are there just to go to the graphics card. You've got to make sure that you've got that. Now here we are back to our diagram again, okay, and of course the problem we've been pointing out, and again these numbers might be different in different benchmarks, but according to 3D Mark, the GTX 1080 Ti is faster than a whole bunch of other cards down here that are in a later generation. Now, why is that? Well, the point is that each generation is not going to be twice as fast or 3 times as fast as the previous generation. So if we look, let's go back here to Nvidia's range, 2012 Kepler, Maxwell, these are the code names they use for the GPUs. Okay, this is the legacy ones. I'm calling the GTX 660, the GTX 750, the GTX 980. Now, they have a maximum performance depending on the card that you buy in that legacy range. Now, this is the kind of the top. So this is the maximum performance you're going to get out of that range if you buy that card. Now, interestingly, if you've got a GTX 9080 Ti, you're doing better than if you've got one of these low-end GTX 10. Why? Because the next series that came out is not twice as fast. So the Pascal came out in 2016, and yes, the top of the range one is better than the top of the range one there. But the bottom of the range one, okay, in the new series is not going to beat the top of the range in the old series, because it's not a whole 2 times, it's not up here, it's not, sorry, up here, it's not twice as high up here. You can see it's about half, isn't it? 1.5 times faster. It kind of goes up like that. Now, the point is, yes, a 1050 is going to be faster than a 750 or an 850, or the 1060 is going to be better than the 960. So for the last 2 digits, trying to keep that the same in the series is going to be an improvement. So the 1080 is better than the 980, yes. But you can still have a graphics card in the older series that's the top of the range that's going to be faster than the middle or the lower of the range. And this just keeps getting repeated. In the Turing with the 2019 GPU architecture, you've actually got 2 sets of cards. You've got the 1660, which they kind of released to kind of match this area here, these ones here, and you've got the RTX range, which has got the ray tracing built into it. And as you can see, the 1660, well, it is faster than the 1060. So yes, it is faster, but there's no 1680 here, so it's not going to be faster than the 1080. Over here, the RTX 2080 is faster than the 1080. Yes, but the 2060 is also going to be faster than the 1060, but the 1080 is going to be faster than the 2060. I hope you're following that. Do you understand? It's just a shift upwards. It's not twice the power. So you're always going to get bottom of the range ones that are going to be slower than the top of the range from the previous generation. Now, obviously, as you go up and up and up and up higher, that difference is going to become less and less. So then we have the Ampere architecture from 2020. That's the RTX 30 range that I was showing here. So yes, the 3090 here, way faster than all this other stuff. I mean, look, there's nothing else on the line here to the left of that. So of course, that's absolutely fine. But right down here at the bottom, the RTX 3050, is it better than the 1650? Yes. Is it better than the 1050? Yes. But is it better than the 1080 Ti? No. So the top of the range from, this is an amazing thing, the top of the range GPU from 2016 is still faster than a bottom of the range GPU from 2020. If you can get that into your head when you're trying to understand all these numbers, it really makes life a lot easier. And then we've got the Ada Lovelace, sometimes just the Lovelace GPU from 2020, and you can see that the 4090, the 4080, these are huge improvements. But the bottom of the range one, the RTX 4000, again is still on par with this lower end stuff, and again a GTX 1080 would still be better. That doesn't have ray tracing in it. That's the one thing. Now moving over to AMD's offerings, we've got the RDNA from 2019, we've got the RDNA from 2020, got the RDNA from 2020, and they're exactly the same thing. So the 5700 XT, the 6700 XT, you can see a boost there. But if you have a 5700 XT, it's going to be faster than the 6500 XT, so the 5 and the 7 are the significant numbers here. And again, at the bottom, the RX 5500 is faster than the RX 6400. So again, it's exactly the same thing. There is a boost upwards for the same models, and in fact, these extend the models up higher. You've now got the 800 and the 950, so the 6950, the 6800, they're all going up higher. And then again, for RDNA 3, again, these ones up here, kind of in the same ballpark as the top end Nvidia ones. Of course, there's discussions about that, about who offers the best card. Now, a lot of controversy, particularly recently with some big games that have come out, is about VRAM, video RAM. So it's used to hold the textures that are used during gameplay. I'm about to give you some ballpark figures. These are to be taken with a pinch of salt. You really do need to check that the games that you're playing or the types of game that you're playing. If you're playing solitaire, well, you probably shouldn't even be buying a 3D graphics card. But I mean, you understand what I'm saying. If you're buying these games that really are just trying to get maximum fidelity in the gaming, then you're going to need to notice this. But a rule of thumb: 6 gigs of VRAM for 1080p, 8 gigs of VRAM for 4040p, 10 gigabytes or more for 4K. As I said, every game is different, so check the particular specs of the games that you are playing. Okay, and so then we get to the big question, Nvidia versus AMD versus Intel. Now, Nvidia and AMD are the big dogs. They're the ones that have been around for a long time. Intel is new to discrete GPUs. Of course, in their motherboards, they've got lots of built-in GPUs that come inside of the processor on the motherboard, so that you can kind of just plug it in and, you know, in a mini PC, a NUC, you've got all the built-in graphics, but they're not the big gamers like they are. But with their new Arc series, they have entered into the arena. And basically, there are some people that are Nvidia fans, there are some people that are AMD fans, some people are cheering Intel along in this new venture of discrete graphics. And as with all fandoms, people are going to fight tooth and nail. They're going to really argue their case, and I'm not going to get into that. Now, I did say I'd mention things like CPU, video editing, ray tracing, and so on. So it matters what CPU you use with your GPU. But that is a different subject. But you can't put an RTX 4090 in a dual-core Pentium system. So you've got to have the right CPU to go with it. However, it doesn't mean you have to have the best CPU. There are videos you can watch on YouTube of people using relatively old systems, maybe 6th generation i3 or i5 system, and they're sticking in a RTX card in it, and they're showing you the performance they get. So it's worth checking in that. But again, check the minimum CPU recommendations of the games that you are playing, and also check out YouTube videos that show you the performance of different CPU and GPU combinations. Okay, so here's my last word on the subject. Buy what works for you within your budget, that fits your PC, that is appropriate for your CPU and fulfills your gaming, VR, AI or video editing needs.